So I grew up in Saratoga Springs, New York, on a horse farm. My mother was a barrel racer, if anybody knows what that is. It's a kind of Western style of riding. And I tell you this because this is how I came to be interested in music, because they would tow me around as a toddler on the rodeo circuit through the South, and they would bring me to all these honky-tonks and the Grand Ole Opry and all sorts of venues where I would hear live music, mostly country music. But I have the proof of me sitting on Minnie Pearl's lap and Loretta Lynn and Conway Twitty and all of these country superstars, and I do have some vague recollection of being really obsessed with what was going on that stage. So first I was a singer, and I sang in school and church choirs, and then in 4th grade they bring in the instrument petting zoo, and so I, for no reason, probably because it was big, chose this instrument here, with every intention of it just being something fun that I would do, like sports or any other extracurricular, but it really stuck. And I loved music, and that was the thing that I was good at, and the thing that I never wanted to quit. And so I continued this through high school. I joined a local youth orchestra, which we were very lucky to have in that community. And I followed my cello teacher then to Bard College, where I did my undergraduate studies, and then furthered my graduate studies at Yale University, where I studied with a Brazilian cellist named Aldo Parisot, who is no longer with us, but was teaching up until he was 101 years old. Wow. Yes. And so after Yale, I was hell-bent on moving to New York City. I had no plan, I had no money. I freaked my parents out when I got a Craigslist apartment in Hell's Kitchen. So I really just went there on a whim, but I figured I would make it work. And I ended up auditioning for a band called Bang on a Can All-Stars, which is a quirky contemporary music sextet that combines half what you would consider acoustic instruments, cello, clarinet, piano, and half rock, so drums, bass, and who am I forgetting, an electric guitar. And with this group, I took a turn from a more classical music training to contemporary music. And I was traveling the world with this ensemble. I was working with living composers. I was working with Lee Ronaldo from Sonic Youth and Terry Riley, who's a well-known minimalist, Steve Reich, Philip Glass, and a lot of other indie rock musicians from all different cultures and genres. So this experience was incredible to have, I mean, for anyone, but especially a musician and one who thought that I could only play my instrument a certain way and do certain things with it and play, a set repertoire of music. And so when I left New York City, I moved back to Saratoga. I had no plan. I was living with my parents during COVID, and all of a sudden this opportunity comes up at Avaloch Farm Music Institute. So I came on in 2022. The organization has been around since 2013. It was the summer home of its founder, Fred Tauber, and his wife, Paula Fredrickson. They bought the property in the 90s, and he had always, I think, loved classical music and been thinking, well, what could I do for the arts? And he ended up teaming up with a woman named Deb Scher, who was its first artistic director. She started Greenwood Music Camp, which is in Massachusetts for younger music students. But they agreed that they didn't want to do that. They wanted to do something for professional ensembles and artists. So they came up with the Arts Residency Program, of which there are many. You've probably heard of McDowell, which is in Peterborough, Yaddo, which is in Saratoga Springs, and there are many throughout the country. What makes Avaloch unique is that it's geared towards performing groups, ensembles, and artists as opposed to just a composer or a choreographer or a visual artist. It's very community driven. So, and I have been coming since it really opened almost every other year. I was in Boscawen. I knew Concord, I knew this area, and I realized what a magical place this was. And Fred kept bugging me saying, I have to get you more involved. How do we get you more involved? I was so busy. Well, then COVID hit. I'm not busy anymore. And I was like, well, okay, I'll take you up on that offer. I moved to New Hampshire. They gave me a house on the property, and I've been living and working there for the last 3 years. So it started out as this seasonal residency program where it is by application. So we will get usually close to 300 applications from ensembles all over the world, and we will choose about a third of those that will fill the summer months. And these are fully funded residencies. So all they have to do is get themselves to the farm and home, but once they walk through the doors, they are taken care of. We have a place for them to live. We have a studio for them to work in, many of them with Steinway grand pianos. We have a chef, a wonderful chef, Lacey Tokash, who cooks 3 very healthy farm-to-table meals for them every day. Of course, that is a perk of my job, getting to eat there. But it's a really beautiful place. We have a blueberry patch to pick blueberries in the summer. We have apple trees where you can pick apples in the fall. The word Avaloch means place of the apple trees. So that's what this originally was an apple tree farm. And you know, this translates a third, you're talking about 100 ensembles maybe, which translates to about 300 to 400 musicians a season, and they come for a week, sometimes 2 weeks, and they will work on whatever projects they have going. So they're albums. We've had, you know, people make commercial recordings that they later release, and some of them have won Grammys. We have people come to work on a new piece of music that they're writing, and they bring the ensemble they're writing that piece for. We have people who come to just compose, or they come to just rehearse the repertoire that they're working on that season. So you get a lot of different ideas, and you get a lot of different kinds of music. It's not only classical music, but there's jazz, there's folk music, there's rock music, there's experimental and electronic music. We have a fair amount of global music now, people from the Indian classical tradition, people from Africa, from Australia, from Asia, playing all sorts of weird instruments. And we have expanded now beyond the residency program to do other kinds of artistic partnerships. So for instance, we had a global musicians workshop called One Beat, who was there twice in the year 2024. That's 25 kids from 25 different countries all over the world coming, and they're meeting each other for the first time and making music together. Not only are they making music in the studios that we have, but I've never seen kids use the grounds more than these people. They were in the lake, in the canoes trumpeting. They were making pieces on the granite walls, the stone walls. They were all over the place, day and night. And so it was really, for me, that is the reward, I guess, is seeing like how they use this space and the time that they're given to really focus, and in an area where you have no distractions, right? There's no daily life, there's no, they're turning off their phones and computers, and they're nestled in a farm that's, in an agricultural area. So it's very different from the cities that they come from and the busyness of day-to-day life. We partnered with the Hopkins Center for the Arts at Dartmouth, so we have exchanged some artists who come and perform at our venue, and we send some musicians their way. We have the Composers Conference, which is a festival that is now in its 81st season, which celebrates new music and invites composers to study and work with mentor composers. We have the Pittsburgh New Music Ensemble and conducting workshop that happens now every June. We have many adult amateur retreats that are happening at the farm. We have New Music, New Communities, which is a program in tandem with the Composers Conference that we pair kids from schools like Concord Community School and Manchester Community School and around the area with a composition mentor so that they can write a piece, and then they'll perform that, and they'll have professional musicians perform their work that they've written for the first time at the farm. 2 years ago, we built the concert space, which we never had, and that's probably why many of you have never heard of Avaloch or me or any of what goes on there, because it was so inward facing. But when we built this barn, that was a game changer, and so we were finally able to invite the community in. We have a free community concert series called Evenings at Avaloch that happens every Friday during the summer season. We have a number of ticketed events which are on our website, and we will be coming out with a new brochure that will have those new dates on it, and you can read a little bit about it, just about the numbers and the general sense. These are on the tables if you want to take one home. But we will have an Indian classical singer who's here in the second week of May. We have an award-winning string quartet, the Bathgate Quartet, who will be part of our new initiative, the Educational Artist Residencies Year, as we are calling it. And that is where we invite one group, they come in, we will send them to schools and different community engagement activities throughout the region, and then they will also give 2 performances at the farm over the weekend. So that will happen first week in May, and then also a week in October. So there's a lot going on, and of course it's world domination, like after here, like we'll get there, but we're working towards it being year round so that there can be not only activities happening at Avaloch, but we are also sending kids into the community. So a summer season would represent about 25 community engagement activities where part of the give back that the ensembles coming to do their residency are asked to go into the community, be it a soup kitchen or a school or a hospital or a nursing home, and to play their music. So we have, in addition to the events at Avaloch, we have about 25 concerts that would take place in Pennacook and Concord and Canterbury and the surrounding areas. So it's a really wonderful organization. I do hope you will check us out. I do hope you will come and take in a concert. The food is excellent. We are starting to now offer, if you want an overnighter, if you have guests who are coming from out of town, they want to spend a weekend at Avaloch and have meals and concerts and everything taken care of, that is something that they can do. If you want to come for dinner and a concert, that is something you can do. So we're really trying to make this a cultural hub and a destination, not only for these communities, but for people who are further away to come and experience something, and certainly in these times, I think we need that. Does anyone have any questions?
I just want to mention that I was there for the opening back in 2013.
That's amazing.
And the one thing that got me was the ping pong tables down there.
Yeah, we do have ping pong and pool.
I mean, who knew?
No, there are some fun things to do. We're always making improvements. Ping pong seems to be the popular sport of choice.
And a question.
Yeah.
With all the deportation that's going on, that must, you've got people coming from all over the world.
Yeah, I mean, we have not seen the direct effect of that. I think everyone right now, we've chosen the ensembles who are gonna come. I haven't gotten an email saying we can't come. I'm sure that will happen. This is very unfortunate, but we do everything we can to help them. We're writing letters, in support of, and doing our best to make sure that this happens. But I will just say that the 1B program that I mentioned, this is something that was federally funded for more than a decade. They were able to do this not only in the US, but they would do this all over the world. They would go to Africa and have a festival. They would go to the West Coast. They would go to South America and do this. Their funding has been entirely cut. And they're trying to make it work, right? But we're gonna see this, like many nonprofits and organizations who relied on this kind of funding don't have it at their disposal anymore, and so they need our support more than ever. I mean, Avaloch is lucky in that they never applied for grants, and so we haven't lost anything. But my job as executive director is, as we expand this programming and invite these artists here, it's not free. So I'm constantly fundraising and trying to think of ways that we can support our artists that come through. Any other questions? Yes.
So along that, how are you funded? Other than you just writing letters and say, hey, help out?
Sure. So Fred, the founder, for a long time, he was funding it by himself.
Wow.
But of course, that was when it was a much smaller operation, and he's not able to do that anymore. So he represents about a third of the operating costs. The rest, we've been able to create some revenue streams. So I mentioned the adult amateur workshops. We have this interest. They come and they will rent the facilities to do their activities, which means they come and they read chamber music together. They have music faculty that will come and give them coachings. We run some in-house events like that where we offer coachings for groups that want to come. So there are some paid partnerships that are happening artistically that create a little bit of revenue for us. And the fundraising is the slowest moving of all of these, since we're kind of just starting out. But that's growing, bit by bit. And so we're getting there, but we're okay for now.
And what's your annual budget?
It's edging towards $1 million at this point. Yeah.
Casinos, they get it with money.
No, they're now like suggesting a 7.5% cut in the gaming, and unfortunately, we are what is a foreign entity in that we are based in New Hampshire, but we're formed in Delaware, so we can't take advantage of that, which is a real shame. And shifting it was that's another topic for another day. It was going to too much work involved in changing that. Any other questions?
Would you play for us?
Yes, I will play for you.
My head's spinning.
So I am going to first play a newer work by a friend of mine. Her name is Carolyn Shaw. She has been to Avaloch before. We went to school together. She is also the youngest Pulitzer Prize winning composer. And this piece, she won for a work for vocal ensemble called Partita for 8. And if you get a chance to listen to that online, it's an incredible piece. This is called In Manos Tuas, In Your Hands, inspired by a Thomas Tallis theme. I have a couple minutes left. I'll play a little Bach for you. Something a little more traditional. These pieces are more than 300 years old. They were relatively unknown when they were written because the cello was always more of an accompanimental instrument, or the basso continuo in these kinds of court ensembles. But then the Spanish cellist Pablo Casals unearthed them in the early 1900s. They were his breakfast. It was breakfast and then I practiced Bach, and he would do this every day, and he really championed these 6 solo suites that were written for the cello, all which are based on traditional dances. So you have movements that are the bourrée, the minuet, the jig, the sarabande, the gavotte, and this is the jig from the 3rd suite in C major.